waiting for the end of this year. Well, that's some good work to be done. So, I would call this meeting, the regular board meeting, June 22nd, to order. And first, I would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territories of the Comox First Nation, and we thank them for the privilege of living on their land and the gift of working for their children. Before we start the main business of the meeting, I do want to take the opportunity to make a statement on behalf of the board of directors, all the trustees together, just to acknowledge the very sad experience of recent weeks with a statement. While June is normally a month of celebration and excitement as the school comes to an end, now we feel called on to pause and reflect on the impact of residential schools on Indigenous communities and families across Canada. The discovery of unmarked, undocumented burial sites of 215 children at the former Kamloops Residential School has shaken us all to the core. And most recent numbers I heard were over 570. As a board, we're saddened and heartbroken at the discovery of these children once again reminds us of the tremendous loss and trauma of the residential schools. There is an immense amount of work needed still towards reconciliation and healing, beginning with acknowledgement of the trauma experienced by the students, families, and communities, and continuing efforts to provide support, understanding, and education. We acknowledge our Indigenous Education Department for the caring, compassion, and supports given to all students, staff, and families during this difficult time. As a board, we are all committed to educating ourselves about the truth of colonialism in Canadian history, understanding the traumatic intergenerational impacts of residential schools, and working together to create a better future for our Indigenous students and their families. Respectfully submitted on behalf of the Board of Education. So, seems hard to move from the depths of this issue to our regular agenda, but we can move forward. We have a number of items to get through tonight, and the work that we will be doing together as trustees on the issue of Indigenous reconciliation will be going on for many years. Could I have adoption of the agenda? Trustee Frawley and Trustee Waite, and all in favor? That's great. Board meeting minutes. We have the May 25th regular board meeting minutes, which were provided beforehand, so everyone could take a look. Are there any changes or omissions that you would like to have to raise? Okay, I don't see any there. Then could I have a motion to accept the minutes? Trustee Howe, second. Trustee Frawley, thank you very much. All in favor? Good, thank you. Trustee May, since I can't see your hand going up in favor, could you, if you can, use the reaction hand? If you object, then you could make a thumbs down or something to let us know. Otherwise, we will take this as a request. Unfinished business. Draft of the Comox Valley School District Environmental Inventory Report. Superintendent, who is going to present it?
Yes, I pass this over to our director, Mr. Hasselgrave.
Okay, thanks, Superintendent DeMayo. It's my pleasure this evening to introduce Caitlin O'Neill, a biologist with Current Environmental. And since 2019, I have been working with Current Environmental while they prepare a district-wide environmental assessment. So there's been a tremendous amount of work done through many seasons in order to create an inventory of the of school district property with a great focus on some of the environmental opportunities and challenges that we have. And I think what makes sense at this point is to turn over to Caitlin and have her present a short presentation to the public about this very important report. So I'm just going to share my screen and bring up the presentation. You ready to go, Caitlin?
I am. And hi, everybody.
There you go. We're up and rolling, Caitlin.
Okay, perfect. So thanks for that introduction, Ian. So this is just a short overview of that assessment. So as Ian said, we did an assessment of all 24 of the properties within School District 71. So our project team involved 4 of us from Current Environmental in town. So that was Warren Fleener, who was the lead RP Bio, and then 3 of us who were the field techs going out to all the different sites in town. We also partnered with some sub-consultants. So Tim Ennis, who's also a biologist in town, and he helped us with specifically bat habitat, rare plant habitat, and some of the overall conservation values of each site. So the study area included all 24 of the properties that were held and administered within School District 71. So this includes all the active school sites, but also a few sites with no school on them, but still held by SD 71. So the overall objectives of the assessment were to identify any of the environmentally sensitive areas on these 24 school sites. The second thing was to identify invasive species and any areas of environmental degradation on these sites. The third was to identify habitat enhancement opportunities at each school site. The fourth was to look for ecological points of interest and outdoor education opportunities immediately on or adjacent to these school sites. And then the fifth was to bring all this information together and come up with these conservation value rankings and planning protocols. So this is a snapshot of the cover page of the final report. So in that report, with all 24 properties, it does take time to kind of go through it all. But in general, what you'll find in there are these summary tables in the reports in the results section. And there's a summary table for each of the school site with all the information for that individual school site. And then there's a map book. So for each site, we produced a detailed map. And that map book is available as a separate document, as well as each map is in each school section as well. And finally, we put together a discussion that kind of helps to synthesize all the information and results that were found, and some useful tools in the appendices. Now here's an example of one of the summary tables. So this is for Miracle Beach Elementary School. And you can see that right in the beginning, we did some key inventory results just to help the reader pick out those key points for each school. And we got into a general description for each property, moved into the environmentally sensitive areas. So if we can switch to the next one there, Ian. So this site had a couple of streams and ditches, and it had a wetland nearby. So we described all those habitats. And we also described terrestrial habitats, so anything that would fall within an environmentally sensitive area. So older forest habitat, and as well as wildlife habitat features. So individual features that are of note on each property. And the final note there would be species at risk that are known to occur or have the potential to occur on each of these school sites. And at the end of the summary tables, you'll find a section that has outdoor education opportunities. This is those individual points on each property that the teachers and principals of each school site can use as a tool for education, environmental education, right on site. And then there's the habitat enhancement opportunities section. For each site, there were areas identified for enhancement. And you'll see that there's a letter and a number reference often next to the things listed in these two categories. And what we did there was we were finding there were a lot of repetitive things coming up at each site, for example, forest habitat. So we referenced a general reference CF1, and in the discussion, you'll see the description for the importance of mature forest habitat, all in that discussion section. Yeah, so we can switch to the next one as well. Now here's a snapshot of the environmental map book. So this is for Miracle Beach Elementary as well. So you can see we've shown any streams or ditches on the site or nearby the site. The red line around the streams indicates the streamside protection and enhancement area. With the yellow polygons and the yellow points were areas identified for potential enhancement opportunities. And the purple points are interesting, points of interest or educational opportunities on each of those sites. So the habitat enhancement opportunities, here are the things that are listed in that summary table where we were seeing some of these come up at multiple school sites. So here we wrote prescriptions basically for treatments for some of these degraded areas or areas that can simply be enhanced quite, with minimal effort, but cooperation with the schools, each individual schools. So here's a picture showing one of the trampled forest areas at one of the elementary schools in town. And here is a snapshot of the trampled forest prescription that we provided. So the problem with trampled forest, it's great to have the kids playing in these forested areas, and we definitely want to encourage that to continue. But there's a few ways to make sure that you're protecting small groups of trees within that area so that we're not continually losing trees. So what we're seeing right now is that the roots are getting undermined quite quickly, and the vegetation is being compacted all around the roots of the trees, and so there's no understory growth and no forest succession in some of these areas. So we've prescribed a way to allow kids to still play in these areas, but have small areas fenced off where we can get that succession happening again, so we can make sure to maintain these habitats for the years to come. And in the discussion, we also talked about the priority of these enhancement activities, just to help guide the school district on what to tackle first. So some of the high priority activities, an example is trampled forest and managing any degradation to riparian areas that's happening. So these were situations where there's ongoing degradation of some of these environmentally sensitive areas. So we'd like to kind of address that sooner rather than later. For the medium priority sites or activities, these were areas where if we do nothing, the areas won't recover on their own, but we don't have a current threat to that habitat. And the lower priority things were smaller activities like setting up bat boxes and swallow boxes at each school site, which does help to enhance habitat, but on a smaller scale. And then we talked about those outdoor learning opportunities. So again, where we were seeing these habitats come up at multiple school sites, we put together this summary table where teachers and principals can reference and look at this table to learn about the importance of mature forest habitat, amphibian habitat, and all of those categories that you see there on the list. And then this conservation ranking table was produced. So again, just as a tool for the school district to know what's out there and what is the value of each of these school sites. So this is where we linked up with Tim Ennis, who does this for multiple sites, not just school sites in BC. So through his ranking system, they found that Hugh Ben Elementary and Acove Puntledge Lake Trail properties came out with a very high conservation value ranking. And sites like the old Comox Elementary and Courtney Elementary, they came up with nil. And that doesn't mean that there's not opportunities for improvement on any of those nil sites. But as they stand now, there's not a high priority for immediate conservation of those sites. So overall, the key takeaways of this report, for one, we hope that it's able to be used as a planning tool ultimately for SD 71 properties. So a quick scan of the map book when construction's happening on some of these sites, just to see what's nearby, or using it as a tool for the yearly maintenance budget and activities. The suggested habitat enhancement works if the school district wants to start to incorporate them in, they can use some of our priority tables to kind of start slotting in some enhancement activities into the yearly budget. And finally, a proactive tree management plan should be implemented to address the loss of trees on SD 71 properties. So while we did address this in a small way with the trampled forest, we did see a need for an overall tree management plan as part of the takeaway. And finally, the results table, the map, and those outdoor education opportunities can be used by teachers and principals at each of the school sites to empower them to kind of take charge of environmental protection at their own school sites. So that was a very brief overview of a large effort, but are there any questions?
So I'd like to thank you and your team at Current Environmental. I think that it's just an excellent report. It's beautiful. As a geographer, I love the maps. I think it's just full of information that will be useful for our school board operations and for our school educators. I think that community members will be interested, and it may be a way to get to know our area and help them become stewards of their neighborhood school. I'd like to thank Ian for working on this so diligently, really great, and Superintendent DeMayo for, taking on this task back in September 2019 and really exceeding what my hopes had been for it at the time, and giving us a really, really useful report. So I thank you all very much for that. Trustee Caton.
Thank you, Chair McDonald. I have a question, and it's probably to our superintendent. And also thank you for the report. I've read everything, and there's great work to do and to be done. Tonight we have a motion to receive the draft report. But in that report, there's a prescription, there's some recommendations, and there's some things that to do. So my question is through you, Madam Chair, as the superintendent. If we receive the report, because prescription talking about some restoration, some forestry cleaning or whatever it is, what is the next step and what happens next with the report? And what does the district do to maybe address some of those concerns in the interim and the far term? And how do we move forward on that?
Sure. I think there's 2 or 3 ways of looking at that question, and the answer from the educational side. This report has been turned over to each of the schools, and in turn, we're hoping that they'll share it with their staffs and encouraging us some outdoor learning for their students and opportunities in their own local grounds. I would ask Director Hesselgrave to share possibly some future direction around the maintenance and how we continue to support that and do some work around those areas.
Sure. Our and the report has been really handy for us as well, and it's going to inform our future work. And what we've done is we've been working with Current Environmental around developing a prioritized list of actions on school sites, and that's a work in progress. But what we have right now is actually some work planned for the summer of 2021. And we're doing some work on the Vanier site, which is a high priority site, and we're doing some work at Puntledge and Lake Trail. And so we're we've taken to heart the report and the issues that we need to address. And we're through this prioritized work plan, we're going to devote some funds each year to take on some tasks. We're also working closely with Courtney Elementary to develop a greening plan with teacher Heidi Youngworth and the principal. And I think that fits in well in terms of our tree plan. And then finally, we're working on a tree management plan as well. So there's lots of bits and pieces there that are underway, and will inform our work for years to come.
Thank you, Director Hesselgrave.
So a follow-up. So Dr. Hesselgrave, as every year you give us in September a statement of all the work that you do in the summer, the amazing job that our QP does over the summer, the behind the scenes stuff. Will you include as part of your reporting to the board then what you're talking about, what you're doing to address some of these concerns, just keep us up to date as what's happening and what needs to be done? And I also heard in there's a need for maybe some monetary funds in part of our budget process. Will that be included so we can move forward on dealing with some of the issues addressed in this report?
I think it becomes the simple answer to that is it becomes an AFG priority. You know, the Secretary Treasurer always likes to give extra cash to the operations department, so we'll take any we can get, but it's going to be incorporated as an AFG line item each year.
Just to clarify, the AFG stands for Annual Facility Grant, so that's the annual funds we get from the ministry for those that may not know.
The ones we never get enough money for.
Exactly, that will be coming up later, but yes, it took me a moment and then I got it, but thank you for clarifying for anybody else. I think that, you know, we did have some concerns this year about, and you relied on arborist reports to take some trees that were identified as risks, but that to put it in a tree management plan gives a much better sense of trees that can be saved or in the long-term plan for them rather than one-off assessment as to whether they're safe. So I think that's going to be a really positive thing for us too. Yeah, any other comments from people? If we receive this, does it move from being a draft to being the district's environmental inventory report? Yeah, okay. And yeah, I hope that we will, you know, make an effort to share it with community partners, municipalities, Comox First Nations. I think they'd be very interested in this. So many of the environmental groups I know do step up and work with you on these opportunities, and hopefully this plan will really be a fund of information. Are we ready? Can I get a motion? Trustee Waite?
That the Board of Education receive the draft Comox Valley School District Environmental and Inventory Report.
Second is.
I'll second that.
Yeah, thank you, Trustee Caton. All in favor? That's great. Thank you so much. And that is a very nice piece of unfinished business that is, it's not finished, it's just starting now in terms of using the report. But we say thank you for getting back to us. Next item, record of Encampment meeting minutes. It's simply an item for information that we are required to report out, and it is in the agenda package. Any comments from trustees on that? Okay, there is no board chair report, and there are no other presentations. So we are Education Committee meeting on June 8th. Trustee Waite.
Thank you. So the Education Committee met in the Committee of the Whole format on June the 8th. And our topic of that meeting was the district's critical incident response team, where our Director of Health and Safety, Paul Berry, and our Director of Student Services, Esther Schatz, who co-lead this team, walked us through a bit of the history of the team and some of the things that the team does. And I just want to, at this time, thank both of them for their tremendous work on this committee and every one of our district staff members that have participated over the years on this committee. It's really important to have a team that does this kind of work behind the scenes when we need it.
Trustee Caton?
Sorry about that. I had a question about the next meeting on here. It says that the topic to be determined in fall to be determined, and the question historically, and I know that we have a few new directors coming to the board office, but historically, traditionally, we've always had an education committee meeting in September to give the board a heads up on what's happening with the school on that one there. So my question is to the chair of the education committee meeting, are we looking at doing that in the fall, or are we going to wait because this is Esther and Alan's kind of last board meeting, and we have new directors coming in there? Is that the reason why we put it off? Just clarification on what's happening in the fall with education committee meeting.
So we don't have the topic set. I have asked for suggestions from the trustees on subject matter or topic matter, and so thank you for letting me know that traditionally we have a certain topic for the September education meeting, and I'll follow up with the assistant superintendent, and we can work on that.
Thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was just
asking. I didn't know. I don't know the answer to your question, but
okay.
But we're happy to work on it.
Perfect. Thanks.
And we're all hopeful that it will be in person as well. So we'll see how that sorts out. Yes. Other comments?
And it might be that the assistant superintendent has something to add to that.
I was just going to say thank you, Trustee Waite, that we do have a lot of uncertainty in terms of new roles moving ahead next year, as well as waiting to hear officially from the ministry how we're going to start. And those announcements aren't going to be made till mid-August. So things are a little bit up in the air, but we will definitely take your comments under consideration, Trustee Caton, and move forward and hopefully have a jam-packed agenda for education committees in 2021-22.
Thank you. Okay, so Trustee Waite, do you want to move receiving your report?
Sure. I saw Trustee Frawley had her hand up.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's actually, if I could just add something after we're done that part. I was just trying to get in there. Sorry.
Okay, so I will move that the Board of Education receive the Education Committee Board Report as presented.
Second, Trustee Howe. All in favor? Great, thank you all. And Trustee Frawley.
Sorry, I just, I had noticed that, and this isn't no judgment or anything, I had just noticed that as we ended the presentation with the environmental draft, we didn't say goodbye to Caitlin, and so I wanted to make sure that we hadn't stepped on toes and that Director Hesselgrave didn't have something he wanted to say to thank her or anything, that we just didn't just move on and away and on to the next thing. So I just wanted to make sure we hadn't stepped on toes.
Trustee Frawley, not at all. I sent her a quick note and she's happy and is out to enjoy the evening.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, guys.
And I think I thanked everybody on our behalf for that. So it was a really excellent work, and I assume we'll be working with them in future as well. No, thanks for doing that. Strategic direction, Superintendent, your
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'd just like to start with a few things. As many of you have heard, there was the announcement with Minister Whiteside regarding September and what September will look like. It sounds very promising. I hesitate to use the term back to normal because these days we're not sure what normal really defines. However, one thing I can say is that there is leaning that we will not be in a situation requiring cohorts, which is a good sign of progress. The requirements around the cleanliness and those aspects have not been released yet. We will get further details in August. But the plan right now, and what we've been sharing to schools, and I know schools have been sharing to their families, is we are going to go to a state that represents what we know has happened in the past. Full extracurricular activities. We're looking at our gatherings as per normal, sports teams, arts, music, all those things that we all remember from school and that I think a lot of our students have missed this year. So we're welcoming that. And again, I would encourage families just to pay attention to our website over the summer. As soon as we have information, we will, as we have in the past, get information out to each and every one of our families, as well as post that information. So good news on the horizon after a long year. And I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to thank all our families, parents, students, and all our staff for their dedication and their hard work this year. I think if you go around and see everyone's a little bit tired. It's been a long year, but all things considered, I think we've done a very good job this year as a complete team and a community. And I just want to thank everybody for doing their part so that our students could be in school. And that was a key part. We stated from day one with our health and safety protocols. And I would just personally like to thank everyone involved and all our community partners as well. The graduation ceremonies. Again, this is the last year of what we'll call the different version of graduation ceremonies. We've had 2 of them have been completed. Nalatsi and Navigate occurred earlier. And this Thursday, our Glacier View graduation occurs. And then Saturday, Isfeld, Highland, and GP Vanier will have their graduation in a very similar format to last year. And I know we ordered good weather for them, and it's going to be very good weather. On the hot tarmac at the pavement of the road, I'm sure it'll be very, very warm for our grads and their families, but a huge congratulations goes out to them and to the school. So that's happening this Saturday. On Thursday, we get the opportunity to celebrate milestones with our staff. We have our retirement and long service acknowledgement ceremony. And for the second year, we are doing the traveling roadshow for our retirement, where all the retirees that we actually will go out to visit them. We've got a caravan that's going to go out and make a little visit and stop and bring them a little gift and congratulating them on their retirement and thanking them for their service. So that's Thursday. It's a wonderful, wonderful event, and I'm sure trustees will be looking forward to joining that event with us. The last thing I'm going to end with, and I'm going to draw your attention to the district news, as well as I'm going to share some other information. And I want you to think, when I get to this, first off, I want to draw attention and sincerely thank our Indigenous Education Department for their work and support of our families and each other during the discovery of the remains of the 215 children in Kamloops. The work that they've done and supporting each other and supporting our community and supporting our students and families is words can't express our gratitude. And I just want to thank you. I would encourage people, if you go follow the link off our district news, to see all of the different ways our schools responded with love and sincerity. I just want to thank them very much for what they've done, and to our district principal, Bruce Carlos, for his work in leading that.
So can we just quickly add the elders that are attached to the Indigenous Education in Noxava? I understand they immediately came to rally and to support, and that's been a really important element of the program overall. You mentioned.
That's correct. They obviously, for COVID reasons, we had restrictions on their ability to be in the buildings, but they were in right away and supported our students in each of our schools. And so huge thanks go to all our elders and residents.
Mm.
Now, as I read this next little bit, I want you to think about this. This was done in a time when our school system was turned upside down a bit. We went to a new system. We had to learn how to do new things. Students had to learn how to interact in different ways. How teachers and students alike banded together and made it happen. I want you to think about this. The following, and please, I'm going to apologize out there. There are way more recipients. They're coming in daily. I just want to read some of the accomplishments of a few students. All of these accomplishments, as well as others that are coming in within the next few days and the next weeks, will be posted on our website. So there will be an acknowledgement page for all those students so people can see what they have, what they've accomplished. Theo LeMay, a GP Vanier student, was the recipient of a $100,000 Sulich Leader Scholarship for Engineering at Queen's University. Haley Brares from Highland, a Beatty Luminary Scholarship, $40,000. James Fazeli Sanaki from Isfeld, another Beatty Luminary Scholarship winner, up to $40,000. Tristan Rendell, GP Vanier, Lorenz Scholars Foundation finalist, $5,000. Austin Harris, Highland Secondary grade 11 student, silver medalist in electronics and skills Canada competition. Sasha Waldnick, École Puntledge Park, grade 6 late French immersion, first place, Concours d'Orthographe, the National Oral Language Contest winner. Navigate team, 6th place in the senior category at the VEX Robotics World Championship. Isfeld Improv teams, nationals, 1st place for the Team Swag. The senior team captured 2nd. Team Baguettes, junior team, 3rd place. Vanier Fine Arts, Destination Imagination. Poison Apples, senior team, 2nd place, 1st in BC. Final Brain Cell, 3rd place, 2nd in BC. Vanier Improv team at Destination Imagination. Team Chance, 1st place, national championship. That is just a little insight into the success and the accomplishments of our students. So my congratulations to each and every one of them. And I look forward to reading the other ones as they come in. Again, a reminder to everyone, these will be posted on our website. To all our staff and students, thank you so very much. And for your hard work, and congratulations on everything you've done. I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to acknowledge 3 very special individuals who worked so hard over the years for our district. And I'm going to start with Director Esther Schatz, and this is her final board meeting. Director Schatz, thank you very much for your leadership and everything you've done to support our students, and your dedication to the job and all the years of service. Thank you very, very much on behalf of the staff and students of Comox Valley. Thank you. To Director Douglas, thank you, Alan, for coming back and helping us out during a transition period. And right at the start of COVID, it rolled up your sleeves, got right in there. Thank you very much for everything you've done. And thank you for putting your retirement plans on hold for a little bit to help out School District 71. We really appreciate everything you've done for us. Thank you.
It was a real pleasure. So thank you. Real pleasure.
And to Paul Berry, who's not with us this evening, and I hope he's relaxing and not out on a search. Words can't express my gratitude. This has been a tough year, and Director Berry was instrumental in setting up our health and safety protocol that was not only used by our district, but it was used throughout our province. So we're gonna miss Paul, and we're gonna miss all three of you. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll pass it over.
Yes, we do owe so much. We have an amazing group, and it's very hard to lose them, although I don't think we'll be losing them all together. But you know that I'm sure I speak for all the board when we also thank all of you that are staying on. The amazing amount of work done this year, and really in the circumstances, such an achievement. It's been noted that BC is one of the few jurisdictions that has had its schools more or less or open for most or all of the time since September, and many provinces have had partial or complete shutdowns. And I know that really is going to make a huge difference for the students' learning going forward in just about every way. So good strategy on a provincial level, and really good work here at home by all of you. That's great. Next item, we have the assistant superintendent with some interesting items for us.
Okay, well, the superintendent gets to talk about all the great things that are happening in our district and give some wonderful accolades, and I get to bring you school fees. So you have on pages 15 to 20 the school fees for our secondary schools. They're all pretty well in line with what they've been in previous years. Did any trustees have questions regarding those fees?
Trustee Caton?
Yes, I did. And it's probably just because it's a different course, I'm reading it wrong. So GP Vanier, I'm looking at it, and the course fee, Adventures in Outdoors, Aspire to Action, 300, and then for cost of field trips and overnights, and right below it, the Explore Free program, 800. Is that two separate courses, or is that one? So just clarification on that one.
Yeah, those are two separate courses, Trustee Caton.
Okay, and once again, there's the superintendent. As per our board policy and government direction, any student that is unable to pay these fees, there's a process that we support them. And once again, that is part of our work that we do, and that's made clear to the schools as we move forward on that one.
Yeah, each school has a hardship policy, and the district has a hardship policy as well. So no student will miss out on an opportunity to participate in those activities due to financial hardship.
Thank you. It's always just good to remind that, because parents and students sometimes are not aware of that, and I think it's nice that we acknowledge and remind them every year. So thank you for your information. I appreciate it.
Just follow up, Trustee Caton, and for all the trustees, in the back of the ISFELD sampling of their school fees, you can see a sample of a hardship policy that is followed by all schools, and that just gives you an idea of what it states.
Yeah, it's on page 19.
Thanks, I appreciated it. You really highlighting that in the briefing note to us. It is very important that we let our families know that going forward. Any other questions on this? Could I have a motion?
I'll move to the board approve the school fee schedule as presented.
Thanks, Trustee Caton. Second, Trustee Frawley. All in favor? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. It's carried. And you're going to take on the board authorized courses as well?
Yes, thank you, Trustee McDonald. So there are 5 courses being offered this year. 2 of them are the PE 11 and PE 12 are just rewrites using the new ministry formula and documentation, just clarifying those. Those are 2 courses that have already existed for all intents and purposes, but they have just been reformatted to fit with the new ministry curriculum guidelines. And the 3 newer ones are all listed. They're quite a lot of information, but all 3 of those courses look like they're very engaging. They are basically based on student interest and demand, and they follow our strategic priority and strategic plan. And they're all there with all their detail and glory for you to read if you'd like to do so.
They look like a lot of fun, I thought. Any questions or comments from trustees at this point? Could I have a motion to approve the 5 courses? Trustee Caton, seconded. Trustee Hawksby, thank you very much. And all in favor? Great, thank you, that's great. Okay, there we are. Secretary Treasurer, would you like to give us some updates here in your sphere of operations?
Thank you, Chair. So it's just an item of information for the board to advise that we're seeing enrollments that are exceeding our expectations for February, that we presented in February, which is good news. But we may have to consider some boundary adjustments. So it's just for information, a notice that at the September board meeting, we'll bring some recommendations for boundary catchment items around some planned new developments in the valley and some subdivisions that have yet to be developed. So just to identify what their catchment schools would be on these planned subdivisions.
Mm-hmm. And so there is a possibility that some people might be moving to the valley late throughout the summer will find that there is no space in the nearest school, and they may be assigned to a different school. But I know that we're confident all of the schools offer great education opportunities. So that is just the current, and then this process will make more long-lasting changes so that we won't be seeing that, hopefully, such a surprise.
Yes.
Any other comments? And next, K-12 education recovery.
So on Friday, the ministry announced that they were making some funds available, or I'm not sure, maybe it wasn't Friday, maybe Thursday. I'm not sure, it sometimes blurs. But anyway, the good news is that there is some recovery funds and a recovery plan for September startup. So initially, we have 13.9 million distributed amongst districts in the province for startup costs and COVID-related expenses. And then there'll be an additional 5 million distributed out for mental health supports. So that was good news. And the recovery plan is in your board book for information.
Do you have a ballpark sense of how much might come to us, or is it going to be on a needs basis?
No, they've already identified. So the amount of the initial 13.9 million was, sorry, $227,000 that is coming to SD 71.
Great, thank you. Any questions on this information? Good. We'll just stand by to see what happens on this. And human resources then, if we move on from our senior team, Trustee Waite.
Great. So I have 3 retirements to share tonight. So the first one we've already talked about a little bit tonight is Esther Schatz, the Director of Instruction Student Services. The school board office will retire effective July 31st after 26 years of service with the district. Judith Wright, teacher, Markar Isfeld Secondary, will retire effective June 30th after 19 years of service with the district. And Kathy Herco, teacher, Royston Elementary, will retire effective June 30th after 34 years of service with the district. So that's a total of 79 years of service with the district. And we thank each and every one of those individuals. And I say a big shout out to Esther, because I can see her, for all that all that Esther, Judith, and Kathy have done over the years for their service to students, families, in our community. Thank you very much.
Thanks, indeed. I just started wondering how many minutes of instructional time that added up to for them. Especially if you multiply it by the number of students that they were dealing with at the time. It's kind of like the Milky Way, so many stars. Yeah. Okay, so we are now coming to board standing committee reports. We have some interesting work that's been done by our subcommittees, and the finance committee board report. Are you speaking to this, Trustee Frawley?
I am.
Great.
Okay, so June 15th, we had our most recent finance committee meeting where we had a financial update from Director Hilton as well as an operating fund projection. So you will see that we've provided documents, the capital fund update on page 76, and then the operating fund year-end projection had a nice breakdown on page 78. And I am going to turn it over to Director Hilton if she wanted to just give a quick rundown on it.
Thanks, Trustee Frawley. Everyone can hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks. I don't really have a lot to add. These reports we do review monthly through our finance committee. And so really the capital fund update, we're always just looking at project progress throughout the year and where our expenditures at a certain point in time. And then with the operating fund projection, we're always looking at our amended budget values and where we're projecting we will land by June 30th at the end of the year and whether we have met our budget targets or not. And so really, it's just showing and explaining the variances from the amended budget to where we think we will end up as of June 30th. And the second page of that report explains reasons for any variances that we're experiencing. And so each year you'll notice that when we get to April-May meetings and we're looking at these projections, there's always going to be differences between the amount of revenues we budgeted to receive and what we actually receive because of the timing of when the enrollment information is predicted and then confirmed by the ministry. And then as well, from a staffing perspective, it really depends on when positions have been filled. So we typically budget for positions for the year. Not all positions are filled as of September 1 or in advance of the school year. And so there's always variances between our budget to actual amounts. So we're doing really well. When you look at the operating fund projection, we are basically on target. We're predicting a small operating surplus for the end of this year, which is good news. And I'm happy to answer any questions if trustees have any on either of the reports.
Yeah. Secretary Treasurer, you want to have something to add?
Yes, so just to quickly add, the projections that are there are, estimates at a point in time. And so it may not necessarily be exactly where we land at the end of June with our financial statements. Typically, I don't know about this district, but in my past experience, May and June were high spending months for supplies and getting things in. So it might be, smaller than what we've reflected in these documents. So just to be aware of that this isn't exactly where the fiscal year is going to end. But we're definitely looking at a small surplus. So that's really good news for the district. But we really appreciate the COVID funding that we received from the province and the federal government to help make that happen. So.
Trustee Caden?
Through you, Madam Chair, as the Secretary Treasurer. We all know that the COVID-19 has had a major impact on supplies and getting stuff in there. And you talk about a budget. Has our district been impacted by not being able to get supplies due to the lack of availability? They're stuck somewhere back east, or not being manufactured due to the past pandemic. And will that have a negative impact on maybe our cost factors as we move forward in trying to get them, because costs are skyrocketing in many areas?
COVID-19 has definitely had an impact on our costs. We're, later on in the agenda, we'll discuss the facility grant request, but we've seen costs sometimes as high as 60% higher than what we've experienced previously. And also we've definitely seen supply chain issues, particularly with electronics. And, when it's short supply, then of course the costs go up. because it's a supply and demand and basic economics. So it's definitely having impact, and that impact will carry through next year, I feel like, until we really see supply chains straighten out and normalize as we recover from the pandemic.
Thank you for that information.
Any other questions? I really appreciate the explanations that are given for variance, and getting a sense of absenteeism, the impact of that, for instance, is quite helpful. Did the committee have any thing that came up in your conversations that you wanted to share?
I don't think so, no.
No. Trustee Frawley, no? You're good. So did you want to make a motion to receive the Finance Committee report?
Yes, that the Board of Education receive the Finance Committee Board report as presented.
Second. Trustee Howe, thanks very much. All in favor? Great, thank you very much. And what can you tell us about the Audit Committee report?
Well, I have a few things to mention. So this was, again, June 15th. This was our first Audit Committee meeting with our new audit engagement partner, KPMG. We had Lenora Lee, who joined us. And so they are now taking over after 5 years of us being with the Auditor General. And so I think we had a great meeting. We had our public members there as well. And you'll see on page 79 was our audit report. In September, we will have our audit findings report. And as we know, September, we usually have a presentation from the Auditor General. So that will now be Lenora Lee from KPMG. And hopefully we'll get to meet her in person. Now, the one thing that I did find out through our Secretary Treasurer, she has let us know that we will actually, for the Audit Committee, report directly to the board versus going through the Finance Committee, which we were doing before.
Oh,
Secretary Treasurer Booker, did you want to add to that piece?
Yes, so it's just to make sure that the board gets the full information from the audit committee directly. So we thought that was appropriate, and the bylaw was really silent on what the reporting structure was. So we felt that probably for the audit committee and the budget advisory committee, it might be more appropriate to have it report directly to the board as a whole rather than through a subcommittee.
Any other questions for us? Okay, then I would like to motion that the Board of Education receive the Audit Committee Board report as presented.
Second, Sarah Jane Howe. Excellent. All in favor? Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Trustee Frawley. And Secretary Treasurer and your team, thank you very much for all that work. Next, we have the Policy Committee Board report, and it should be an interesting report. Would you like to take this on, Trustee Waite?
Yes, thank you. So over the past year, our board and our district have been working on the development of Board Policy 24, Equity and Non-Discrimination. At our December 2020 board meeting, we passed a motion to create an ad hoc committee to review draft Policy 24. The current trustees on the Policy Committee worked with representatives from our senior leadership team and our partner groups to form the ad hoc committee chaired by Trustee Caton. The committee, and please see page 102 of the agenda package, or a list of the committee members, came together over a series of 4 virtual meetings in February, April, and May. Policy creation is difficult at the best of times, and being able to communicate and share ideas through virtual meetings on a topic such as equity and non-discrimination is no easy feat, but this committee really stepped up and shone. In advance of the motion put forward by the policy committee to the board, as the chair of the policy committee, I would like to thank each and every member of the ad hoc committee for their commitment to working together to create the current draft policy 24 that can be found on pages 104 and 105 of your agenda package. So I'd like to move that the Board of Education receive draft copy of policy 24 and request that the policy committee, through the superintendent, begin an engagement process with our education and community partners, requesting written feedback to the proposed policy. A proposed timeline of completion will be November 2021.
Have a second for that? Trustee Hawksby, thank you. Excellent. What do we have? Questions, comments on this process? Yes, Trustee Waite.
So I'd like to share that if the trustees that weren't part of this committee knew how many policies we reviewed from other districts and the work that the ad hoc committee did through the chairing of Trustee Caton and one of the meetings, Trustee Hawksby, I think you would understand how much heavy lifting was undertaken to get us to the place of this draft policy. And I'm really excited at the place we've landed on this policy. And I look forward to the opportunity for it to go out to our community partner groups and our education partners to come back to see if they can raise the bar even higher, because I think it's a model policy when it's going to be finalized for not only us, but all across BC.
That's great. I'm so glad that you're able to, share that with us. And I know that we're putting a little bit of pressure on you at this very difficult time to bring it forward. I know too that original conversations we had hoped to do sort of some community sessions with brainstorming or with our students. That really wasn't possible. So I think it's excellent work that's been done. Trustee Caton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just your comment regarding students, and I'll direct this to the superintendent. Part of the engagement process is that we will be going to the schools to have those conversations with students. It's very important to have them in the dialogue, and I'll refer that to the superintendent because he has a plan and a process that he brought to the community how we will engage our students, because we do go through him. But I also think that part of the consultation process is engaging with our community justice community and that one there. So there will be a process that we will engage with the community through the superintendent's office. We will send it out to individual to those groups and ask for feedback. And superintendent, can you speak to how we talked about specifically how we're going to engage with the students and include them in the process, because this does have an impact on them. And I wonder if you can maybe touch base with how we were bringing that to work in the fall.
Sure. Yeah. So what we will do in the fall is we'll get working with individual schools, asking for representation, diverse representation of the population, and having focus groups where they will have an opportunity to look at the policy ahead of time. And then we will meet with individual sites and engage them in some broad discussions and hear their thoughts and their feedback around this. And does this reflect where we are and where we need to be? In past years, working with individual schools like that really allows, we get more voices to the table. So that's what we'll look at doing, and we'll see what kind of a process we can start for our younger students, and you know, to what level we can engage them in a process in terms of the community, using our agencies such as Community Justice Center and other community groups to provide us with feedback. And as was mentioned earlier, once the written feedback comes in, then we're able to finalize our policy. Along with that, there will be an opportunity for people to comment online, and we will set that up where they can look at it and feel free to comment individually should they wish. And then all that'll come back to the policy committee, and the policy committee will continue its wonderful work.
And I also like to take this time to acknowledge Director Esther Schatz. At the beginning of each meeting, Director Schatz talked about norms of collaboration, how we work together and we work collaboratively, and how we listen. And thank you, Director Schatz. I believe that when we are working through any difficult times and norms of collaborations you brought to me, I appreciate that, and it's something that I hope that we take further, and we've left with a really good model on how we could work together in a respectful manner and learn to listen. And thank you for bringing that to the table. It was greatly appreciated, and I believe we got a lot of work done because we actually sat and listened to each other respectfully, and that's why the work, as Trustee Waite said, was able to get done. It was some heavy lifting, and we're able to do that through collaboration and listening. And thank you to the committee for having that conversation.
Great. I feel it's answered a little question I had, that the recommendation from the committee referred to full consultation, and this particular motion is talking about beginning with written feedback. But I gather from all of this conversation, it is not actually limiting it in any way to that the process is larger, and sort of you know, that the process used reflects the topic at hand. Is it's nice. It's a really excellent synchronicity. So we have I would be open to a motion.
So I made the motion already. Yeah.
Was it
right at the end of what I made the motion. We had a seconder.
Did we vote?
Not yet.
All right.
Almost.
Are there any more comments? Are we ready to vote? Okay, thank you. Especially with Zoom, this often happens. Could we have a show of hands on all in favor? That's great. That's good. Thank you for
thank you. And I would then like to move that the Board of Education receive the Policy Committee Board Report as presented.
Second, Trustee Hawksby. Thank you. All in favor? Great, thank you. That's another report representing a big achievement, a step along the way. Very positive. Okay, I'm going to take just a deep breath here. And we are now at the Facilities Committee report and meeting yesterday. Trustee Howe, this is your committee to chair.
Yeah, so the meeting took place yesterday. I had a personal matter to deal with, and Super Trustee Waite stepped in and chaired the meeting for me, which was amazing. Thank you so much. And I thought that I would just let Ian speak to what happened at the meeting, because there's quite a few motions to get through that happened at this committee. So,
okay, thank you, Trustee Howe. There was three main themes in the Facility Committee meeting, and that was the annual submission of the 5-year capital plan, the long-range facility plan, and the district-wide environmental survey. And we've covered that one with the presentation from Caitlin. And I think the best way to move forward with this is to affirm that the 5-year capital plan has taken a slightly different format this year because the ministry made some changes to the way it's submitted. But for all intents and purposes, it's all the same categories. And the submission that's outlined in the briefing note supports the priorities as defined in the long-range facility plan and the past work that we've done in the facilities department, understanding what our key needs are. In particular, we're looking at more space in Cumberland, more space in Royston, more space in Isfeld, and a number of mechanical and other projects. Format being different in that we require 3 board motions, 1 for the major plan, 1 for the minor, and 1 for the building envelope. And that's followed by a significant body of work on the long-range facility plan, which the recommendation out of the long-range facility plan is that we adopt option A, which is the status quo, which is maintaining the similar format that we have in the school district, acknowledging that we have some pressure points and challenges, and that in the fall, senior staff will bring forward some potential options and solutions for those challenges for the board to consider. I think that's where I'll leave it, Trustee Howe. How's that?
Good. Janice, you have your hand up.
Yes, I do. Thank you. Just one thing, and then I was going to make a motion. So looking at the Facilities Committee agenda for Monday, June 21st, 21, on my agenda, it has myself as a guest. I actually did not attend that meeting, so I'm just wondering if that could be a correction, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. And then I was just going to make the motion, the first motion, that the Board of Education approve the 2022-23 major capital plan submission.
I'll second that. You're muted, Sheila.
Good opportunity to carry on. All in favor? Okay, thank you.
The next motion is that the Board of Education approve the 2022-23 minor capital submission.
And I'll second that.
Thanks. Are there any questions or comments about that one in particular? No, then could we have a vote? All in favor? Any opposed? I don't think so. Excellent. Thank you very much.
And the third motion is that the Board of Education approve the building envelope program submission.
Second, Trustee Waite. Any discussion specifically about this one? No, all in favor? Any opposed? Nope, that's good. That's all of us. Okay, next so I hope that meets your requirement to get an application in, and we will hope that the ministry are responsive to some of our requests, knowing that they have many others, but
thank you.
We know that your arguments are always solid. The facilities, long-range facilities plan, we've had several presentations on this. It's a very valuable, complex document with a lot of information, but I think that the recommendation presents the main direction, and we'll look forward to getting more if that is your pleasure. Could I have a motion?
So I'll move the recommendation, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Second, Trustee May, did I see your hand up? Thank you. Any further discussion? Excellent. So all in favor? Thank you very much. That gives you plenty of work to do over the summer and early fall. And Trustee Howe.
I think that wraps it up, so I can make the last motion that the Board of Education receive the Facilities Committee Board Report as presented.
Second, Trustee May, thank you. And all in favor? All right. Thanks very much. It's, I think the opportunities to see the material and discuss has helped as we are getting the information needed to make good decisions. And there's a lot of flexibility and more information to come. Now we have the board business, our board meeting schedule. presented proposed dates. You've had opportunity to look at that. And
so I'll make the recommendation that the Board of Education waive the requirement for regular meetings in July and August 2021.
all right, second. Trustee May. So, yes.
Go ahead. And that's just with the caveat that that if for any reason that even though we waive them, that we can convene with the 48-hour notice if things come up, especially if the Ministry of Education throws a curveball at us again with September opening. Am I correct in that, Secretary Treasurer?
Yes, absolutely. It's just in the current bylaw, it does specify that there's a meeting every month. So we need a motion to waive if we're not going to need to meet over July and August to give everyone a nice refreshing break over hopefully glorious summer weather that continues.
We will hope so, but I think you're right that we can be called back. We will be willing to be called back if we can be, if needed. So all in favor? Great, thank you very much. That's carried. And have you any concerns about the actual meeting schedule, knowing that sometimes things are changed? Trustee Howe? Are you moving?
Were you going to move the motion, Michelle?
Go ahead. Yeah, I was. That's what I was going to do.
I was just going to move the motion that the Board of Education approve the 2021-22 board meeting schedule as presented.
And we'll take that as seconded by Trustee Waite. All in favor? It's nice. Now we feel like we have purpose in our lives for the next year. Now we have board business item 8, motion to write a letter advocating for increased annual facilities grant funding. Trustee Caton, this is your item.
Yes, and it's actually one motion, and I'm hoping Marlene, who is diligently listening to, will get my motion correct. It's not the 2 as presented. My apologies in advance for that. So my motion is that the Board of Education School District number 71 write a letter to the Ministry of Education requesting that the ministry increase the funding for school districts for the annual facilities grant, and also forward a letter to BCSDA to include this as an emergent issue for the consideration of the next provincial council in October.
Seconded for that?
I'll move that motion.
Okay, thanks very much.
Or second the motion.
Yeah, Trustee Howe. So would you like to speak to it, Trustee Caton?
So I'm actually going to, we included some background information that I would like to read and include. And as you heard tonight from Director Hesselgrave and Secretary Treasurer, you've realized that the cost of our, not only of our cost increase because of COVID-19, but in past, the annual facilities grant has never ever met the needs of our district. We received this grant targeted for the regular maintenance of our schools and other facilities. The grant is highly appreciated and does not adequately fund district requirements for annual maintenance. 13 of 20 of our buildings are in the poor or very poor FCI category. Thus, we utilize every dollar of our AFG just trying to triage our most urgent maintenance needs. The district submits an annual plan for the AFG spending, then always adjusts based on a roof that sprouts a leak or a boiler that fails. There are never enough funds to address all the needs, thus the buildings fall further into disrepair from deferred maintenance. In addition, the skyrocketing cost of building supplies due to the impact of the pandemic are putting further pressure on scarce AFG resources. Cost of materials are as high as 40% in some cases, but have increased on an average of 15%. SD 71 understands every district faces the same challenges around aging infrastructures, though not every district combines with that challenge with significant seismic increases and enrollment growing pressures regarding modular purchases. And if we have to get a modular next year, that's $300,000 out of our operating funds that comes out of the classroom. That's not part of our capital. So this is an addition on our funds. The in-district estimates that AFG funding would need to double for us to perform the basic annual maintenance required to let alone catch up on deferred maintenance. And earlier this evening, we had a presentation regarding our environmental sustainability and some costs that we may have to incur. That's an added pressure on that one there. So once again, it's just reminding the government that they need to fund our schools. Our schools should be safe. For staff and students, a clean, safe environment is one of our advocacy roles as trustees. We advocate to ensure our schools are safe. And this is one of the things we do is advocate for money to support our district, ensuring that we've got the funds to provide a safe educational environment for all our staffs. And that's in a nutshell.
Thank you very much. Well, yeah, before we'll ask the trustees for comments, I see your hand is up, Secretary Treasurer. Do you have some information to add?
Yes, I just wanted to mention that Director Hasselgrave and his operations team do a really great job in maintaining our buildings and doing the best they can with the funds they're given. It's just, there's, deferred maintenance that continues to accumulate that we have a plan to address every year. But I don't want to leave the impression that the schools are falling apart and that kids are sitting in desks with buckets around them. It's just, the rising cost of materials, of vehicles, of supplies, it really puts pressure on those dollars, and it limits the amount of additional projects that we can do, like, doing an envelope on a building or replacing windows somewhere or other bigger projects that we'd like to do. So, but I just wanted to really express appreciation for Director Hasselgrave and the work that they do with the funds that they're given, and really express how much we appreciate all that they do. And just another comment regarding the FCI data. We're looking to have FCI come again in the fall, and so we will be getting updated numbers from that. And some of the projects that we have undertaken through the school enhancement program should positively affect some of those FCI indexes that are mentioned in that report. Did you want to add anything, Director Hasselgrave?
No, thanks. You have it well covered.
Comments from trustees? Any questions? No. Could I ask a question then? I know that the facilities grant is on a dollar per square footage, I believe, and it's attached to each school. But then you, rather than spending a fixed amount on every school, you pool it into projects that make sense. Well, we have a number of schools where we're currently paying to keep them, even though they are not used. We have to pay to take care of the schools which are currently closed. Do they still count in our facility grant square footage, even if there are no students in it?
No, they actually, the ministry gives a fixed sum per district, and it's generally based on enrollment. So by district size. Oh, so they don't actually attach it. It's part of the challenge with the metric. It's not really attached to schools per se. Okay. We get a fixed sum.
I remember it being in a previous consultation that there was so much per school, and it was like, well, if a school is closed and sold, then we no longer get that, reduces the amount. But it probably is complicated. So certainly this is a concern for everyone. And Trustee Kane, I know you were part of a School Trustees BC FPA working group that produced an excellent report. So this letter will be adding to that extensive report, and other districts are also quite concerned about it. The cost escalations right now are obviously of a concern, and so I will.
And can I just to follow up the closing debate, and I would also like to acknowledge Director Hasselgrave and the maintenance staff and crew of SD71. Over the years, they have done an amazing job in keeping our schools safe and clean, and especially during COVID with the ventilation and all the other things going on there. But let's face it, costs have increased, and we need to support our maintenance staff in providing a safe and caring environment for all our schools. And we have to as you know yourselves, in going out grocery shopping right now, you go to the grocery store and you've got to manage that budget because everything has gone up. This is just asking for the government to acknowledge that costs have increased and we need to support keeping our schools maintenance so that they are able to be a safe place for our kids to go to school.
I think it's a bit like potholes in the road. If you keep your taxes low by not doing the maintenance, it will catch up. And so we know across the province the schools are in need. So we have a motion. Can we call a question? All in favor? Thank you very much. Everything that carries. Thank you. Yeah, I see in your original briefing, Janice, I noted earlier that this wasn't in the two motions. You made it in one when you submitted it. So thank you for that. And I've lost my pages here. Where are we now? We are at board correspondence. The 3 letters are simply the letters that were written in response to an earlier motion to encourage these government departments to increase funding for mental health services, and in particular work together to have the Pathways to Hope project up and running in September. And the letters were put together and were sent. And we'll look forward to immediate responses from them. And next is public question period. Have you received any emails or questions, Josh? Any further conversation, questions from trustees? Trustee Waite.
So I was so worried that we weren't going to have enough time at this meeting. And I was, the superintendent's laughing because the board chair and we had the discussion earlier today. And so I've got all these timed things in the agenda and figured out how we're going to get through it. And we did with all sorts of great discussion. Yeah. So thank you.
Trustee Caton.
On a personal note, I would like to take this time to publicly acknowledge 2 individuals on sitting with me Zoom. Normally they're across the table from me and able to keep me focused, and that's Director Alan Douglas and Director Esther Schatz. Over the years as a trustee, you have been supportive of the board more times than I can count, and I thank you, and I would like to personally acknowledge the time and the effort you have in supporting me as a trustee as I have learned and grown in my role. And I know Director Douglas as the principal to my boys over the years and being that mentor to them. Thank you for the impact you've had on the many students and families of the Comox Valley, and the same as Director Esther Schatz, and especially our students that are our special needs and our other students. Thank you both. We have many programs in this district because of you two. And on a personal note, I just want to acknowledge and thank you both. And I really miss you. I wish you all the best. And I expect the both of you to be tuned in next September watching our board meeting. Right?
I'm sure that Esther and I will get a bowl of popcorn and we'll sit together and watch those board meetings. Right, Es?
I would be hoping that you will be coming to the meetings in person in the school board office and bringing us the necessary lemon drops to help us get through the meeting. We've really been missing those. Yeah.
Well, I've got to go to Italy again to get those.
Oh, very special. I know Janice is quite right that the number of things that both of them have been responsible for bringing in, implementing, working in partnerships. And I happen to know that Director Douglas is missing another meeting tonight at Town Hall on the early childhood education and presenting the child care plan for the Valley. And I know that he had an enormous amount to do with that, with the group as a whole, bringing it forward. And that's something that really, your focus on the early years and our partnerships there have made such a difference for so many children and families. So much appreciated. And, giving up that meeting for this one, of course, it's a big, wish we could go to them all. Anyway, Trustee Waite.
Well, before I speak, Chair McDonald, did you have any closing comments?
My closing comments are really so much appreciation for everyone, all of you as colleagues, that we, through very difficult times, have managed to get through to the end of this year, and that we appreciate all the work of our staff. I'm also thinking, you know, Paul Berry's not here, Linda Marie as well. Linda Marie Hanfield is often used to attend many of our meetings, which was going above and beyond, and she and her team in HR have done an amazing job. So I appreciate all of those, all of our principals, and just keeping this going has been so amazing. But I also really do appreciate all of you. It's been challenging. It's been very challenging to do meetings in this format and sort things out. And I appreciate the work that did get done, and working with all of you. I've definitely enjoyed that. What else do you have to say, Trustee Wade?
That was pretty much what I was going to say. I just wanted to thank everybody we could see and everybody behind the scenes that makes our district run in the way it does. Yeah. And it's been an incredible school year. As a board, I really can't imagine what kind of a school year it was like in the classrooms, but our teachers, I know, did, and staff did tremendous work with the students in our district.
Yeah. Trustee Frawley, any comments to close?
Well, like Trustee Caton, I've had a lot of years with both Director Douglas and Director Schatz and Director Barry, who unfortunately can't be here. But Director Barry was actually my kid's principal at one point, worked hard on school closures and transitions and many things. And of course, with Director Douglas, we worked on all sorts of committees together, and I had great fun with both Director Douglas and Director Schatz at hirings, getting our pieces of chocolate and being told we had to go for our walks at lunchtime, and making sure we were going to stay awake for the afternoon. So thank you so much for the conversations and the fun that you brought to all of those committees for me. Thank you, thank you. Congratulations on your retirement, and I hope to see you around town.
Oh, we're not going anywhere. You'll see us around town.
Good,
and,
good.
You know, there's lots of stuff in the community to do. Esther and I are thinking about golfing, even though neither one of us golf. You know, doing some volunteer work. I've been asked to be on the Child Development Center board already, and I've been asked to be on the Glacier View Lodge board and the Retired Teachers Board. So there's no end of opportunities. I just need to go home and actually have a little rest. I've got 4 grandchildren that keep me really busy that live in the valley, and I spend lots of time with them. And so there's lots of things, but you haven't seen the last of us. Esther, anything closing from you?
No, I've spent the last number of years waiting till you've done your speaking, and you've covered it all once again, although he did forget to say that he signed us up for lawn bowling.
No.
So we'll see. Certainly, you haven't seen the last of us.
Okay, I just want to leave with this little anecdotal story. When I said to Esther, she goes, "What are we going to do?" I said, "Well, I think we should take up golfing. We'll go out to one of the local par 3s and we'll just golf. We'll do not 9 holes." And she goes, "Well, that's a great idea. I think I better go and get some outfits right now so I'll look good on the golf course." That's all she was concerned about. So she's been busy shopping, getting her looking good outfits for golfing.
Oh dear. You do know that pickleball is actually the retirees activity, which Peter Coleman had so much to do with, rather than lawn bowling. So
yeah, that's on our list too, Sheila. We've got that on there too. We've got the pickleball rackets. We just we've got to pace ourselves. We're going to start with a pickleball court on my driveway so we can actually figure the game out before we get out there in the public, right, Esther?
That's right.
There's a nice little
we
course.
do have pickleball outfits as well.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
well, if you choose to, we can make a space on the SB71 website for the retirees blog, and you can role model how to have a really, rich retirement life that you'll have a hard time keeping up with Hugh McKinnon on some of these activities.
That's true. But I just wanted to say in closing, it's been a real great opportunity working with all of you as a board, and certainly with all of the staff, the senior staff. It's just been a joy, and we've just been blessed to be able to work with such good people. So thank you so much. And thanks for the opportunity to come back to work and do something I love to do and work with people that are great people. So thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you from me as well.
That's very nice. Now we've got our other trustees here. Christy May, do you have any comments? You got thrown in. You just joined us and you got thrown in, and I hope it's been interesting in this stage.
I've learned a lot, and it's been a great honor to work with everybody and get to know everybody. And I look forward to next year. And I hope everybody just has an amazing summer, because I'm telling you, for those that do get to get a summer off, you have earned it. It's been quite the year. And yet here we are, we've prevailed and we've done some really great things. So I'm super proud of that and very excited about what's to come.
Trustee Hawksby, anything to add?
I just want to say congratulations to you guys. You've done a lot of amazing work over the years. I've really enjoyed getting the chance and the opportunity to work with you guys very much. And I had too much sun on the weekend, so I'm a little dazed and confused with the technology now. So
that's very nice. I think that just sums it up. I'm dazed and confused at the best of times. Yeah. And Sarah Jane or Trustee Howe, have you?
I'll just reiterate, Esther, I often also like going last because all the wonderful things have been said. And I just get to congratulate everyone on the call and everyone for their comments. And I also look forward to a really great summer. I hope I don't see you guys on a meeting in July and August, but if I do, that's just the way it goes. Yeah, thanks everyone so much. I'm looking forward to a different September.
Yeah. Well, I think we've been a good team this year, and all of our ups and downs and the things that got thrown at us, I sure appreciate it all. If we have no more to do, Trustee Wade?
I see the superintendent has turned his mic on.
Ooh.
No? No, he did. No, he don't. That was quick. You leaned forward and you turned your mic off. We were hoping that you were going to share some.
No, I think I've shared enough for today. Thank you guys very much.
All right. Well, I expect to see some of you at the grads. I know some of you can't make it, but we will be fanning out to cheer on the students and the teachers in the schools that have done such a great job this year. So I may see some of you, and I'll look forward to that. Other than that, may I have a motion to adjourn? Trustee Frawley, Trustee Howe, thank you very much. All in favor? All right, thank you.